Programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
And welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Mike Crute has a well-deserved day off, so it's just the one Devil's Advocate here today with Evan on the board and our fair audience joining me at 844-967-2789. Audience, you are the guest today.
We need you guys.
I got an hour worth of material in a 2-hour show, but we're going to stretch it out. We're going to make it last. Never let you see how the sauce is getting made over here. Obviously, big, huge breaking news today. It's not quite Merrick Garland Day, but Merrick Garland did speak today about the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, former President Trump's home down in Florida. And it's amazing how all these Republicans in the last couple of days just beside themselves. Oh, this is terrible. This is a witch hunt. This is political persecution, and release the warrant, release the hounds. Well, apparently, Merrick Garland did move today to have a judge allow him to release the search warrant and the documents that go along with it. And now apparently Donald Trump has a few days to decide if that's what he really wants. Be careful what you wish for. You might just get it. So let's start out with the sound. Merrick Garland, a pretty short speech, did not take any questions.
Kept us waiting too. It was like 35 minutes of a blank podium.
Well, it wasn't like Trump in Waukesha where he left us waiting there, 90 minutes. And certainly wasn't the 3+ hours where Trump did nothing while his people attacked the Capitol. But I digress. It was certainly worth the wait. Let's hear cut number 10, AG Merrick Garland on the raid.
Good afternoon. Since I became Attorney General, I have made clear that the Department of Justice will speak through its court filings and its work. Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week. That search was of premises located in Florida belonging to the former president. The department did not make any public statements on the day of the search. The former president publicly confirmed the search that evening, as is his right. Copies of both the warrant and the FBI property receipt were provided on the day of the search to the former president's counsel, who was on site during the search. The search warrant was authorized by a federal court upon the required finding of probable cause. The property receipt is a document that federal law requires law enforcement agents to leave with the property owner. The department filed the motion to make public the warrant and receipt in light of the former president's public confirmation of the search, the surrounding circumstances, and the substantial public interest in this matter. Faithful adherence to the rule of law is the bedrock principle of the Justice Department and of our democracy. Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly, without fear or favor. Under my watch, that is precisely what the Justice Department is doing. All Americans are entitled to the even-handed application of the law, to due process of the law, and to the presumption of innocence. Much of our work is by necessity conducted out of the public eye, We do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans and to protect the integrity of our investigations. Federal law, longstanding department rules, and our ethical obligations prevent me from providing further details as to the basis of the search at this time. There are, however, certain points I want you to know. First, I personally approve the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly. Where possible, it is standard practice to seek less intrusive means as an alternative to a search and to narrowly scope any search that is undertaken. Third, let me address recent unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and Justice Department agents and prosecutors. I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked. The men and women of the FBI and the Justice Department are dedicated, patriotic public servants. Every day, they protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, and other threats to their safety while safeguarding our civil rights. They do so at great personal sacrifice and risk to themselves. I am honored to work alongside them. This is all I can say right now. More information will be made available in the appropriate way and at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney General, the former president said this
FBI agents?
Thank you all for your questions, but as I said, this is all I can say at this time.
It's amazing. They stopped asking questions when he said that's it. They just looked at him and wow.
And then he walked away. Merrick Garland, in less than 4 minutes, pulls the rug out, calls the bluff of the megas. Aaron Blake has a piece in the Washington Post relating to this. I want to share this with you. An audience, you can, of course, join me at 844-967-2789. Writes Blake, from virtually the moment former President Donald Trump expounded on the execution of a search warrant at Mar-a-Lago and his GOP allies joined him in instantly crying foul, there's been a disconnect. A bunch of people immediately claimed that this was a very bad thing, even as they mostly knew next to nothing about it. What if the evidence behind the search was damning? How could you know the search went too far if you don't know what it was about? Otherwise, it sounds a lot like saying the former president is above the law. Trump himself could shed a lot of light on the alleged miscarriage of justice. It was noted repeatedly by disclosing the search warrant. But 3 days later, he still hasn't done so. Well, I mean, if you do that, how are you going to fundraise on it? On Thursday, Merrick Garland decided to put the ball more explicitly in Trump's court. In the news conference, of course, we just heard that. He announced that DOJ is going to seek to unseal the search warrant. But in doing so, DOJ made clear repeatedly that this wasn't a decision it could make unilaterally. In a court filing, the department emphasized that Trump could object. Quote, in these circumstances involving a search of the residence of a former president, the government hereby requests the court to unseal the notice of filing and its attachment, absent objection by former President Trump, the Justice Department said. It re-emphasized at the end of the filing that, quote, the former president should have an opportunity to respond to this motion and lodge objections, including with regard to any legitimate privacy interests or the potential for injury if these materials are made public. That Trump could object is a matter of course, but the fact that the Justice Department chose to drive that point home to him and even go this route in the first place is important. The pushback against the search warrant on the right put the Justice Department in an unenviable spot. It almost never comments on ongoing investigations, but this is a matter of significant public interest and is already the subject of plenty of uninformed criticism. Ain't that the truth? From there, it could set aside protocol and make disclosures, or it could do nothing and let the critics drive the messages, including continued false and baseless accusations. There was also the matter of whether Trump's lawyers even had the warrant. Public comments from one of his lawyers suggested his legal team was in possession of a copy, but a Fox Business reporter has called that into question. The filing Thursday effectively negates that. From there, it's up to the Trump team to decide whether to sign off or not. On one hand, there may be things in the warrant that Trump quite logically doesn't want people to know. But if his lawyers object, even to the disclosure of limited details, it will look like they're obscuring something, which will undermine their side's pushback. That could also give allies some heartburn for fear of what they don't know. As an aside here, the Times reported Thursday that some of Trump allies are being warned by some Republicans against overzealously criticizing the FBI and the Justice Department because damaging information might be coming out that would reflect poorly on those criticisms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no
really?
doubt. You know? On the other hand, writes Aaron Blake, Trump could just let it all come out, something he hasn't appeared apt to do thus far. That could reshape this entire conversation, one that's been much more fruitful for Trump in the abstract because he didn't have to account for the actual details. Greenlighting the release would force a true reckoning over precisely what he or someone else might have improperly removed from the White House. And unless this were to progress to a criminal case, it's not clear we would ever learn what's in the warrant. So Trump would be allowing the release of something that might not otherwise ever see the light of day. Trump has until 3 p.m. Friday to decide whether he'll oppose unsealing the documents. That's tomorrow, folks. 3 p.m. tomorrow. He's got less than 24 hours to stop your bitching and either release it, agree to it, or continue to have it blocked. And that's certainly your right to do, sir. But then you and the other Republicans can't continue bitching about it because he has the option to do so, and he could allow the DOJ to do so.
And the first subpoena came in a long time ago, too. This has been on his radar.
This has been, and that is also some news today. We'll get to that as well. A subpoena was issued months ago, so this is not like the first conversation they've had in this regard. Aaron Blake from the Washington Post wraps it up like this. Whatever the case, this seems to put the DOJ on significantly firmer ground than in 2016. Back then, concerns were raised about FBI Director Comey's unorthodox disclosures about Clinton's email server investigation, something Clinton allies later blamed for her loss to Trump. Comey was effectively pushed into a corner, just as Garland was this week. On Thursday, Garland effectively pulled Trump into the corner with him. Not quite Merrick Garland Day, but a progress on this issue.
We needed this, right?
Yes. I mean, this was absolutely. And there's also news today that some crackpot in body armor tried to, shoot people or get into an FBI office in Cincinnati. We'll go there as well. Chase, shots fired. Apparently the person is contained, but that is still an ongoing situation. And the way all the Republicans have come out against something they don't even know about. They don't know what's in there. I mean, this was a national security issue. There were national security folks on site in Florida at Mar-a-Lago. So what is that all about? I don't know, but I'm concerned, and you should be too. Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. No Crudy, just you and me. And Evan, 844-967-2789.
So Ryan, I'm the exact same way, but
I want to get back to being in my community group.
I want to continue having a soccer season.
So I can throw parties again.
So I can go to her parties.
It'd really be nice to dine in instead of getting delivery for a change.
So I can feel safe and protected for myself and my students.
We each have our own reason for why we're getting vaccinated against COVID-19. What will yours be? Visit getvaccineanswers.org for information on the COVID-19 vaccines. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
My fine guest, Maggie Dawn, attorney at law. I thought that the laws of the United States were supposed to evolve with societal norms. The vast majority of Americans, 70% approximately, believe that Roe v. Wade should be the law of the land. So that seems exactly contrary to the way the courts are supposed to evolve with our nation.
I'll just say this. The guy in Colorado can't be forced to make a gay wedding cake, but I can be forced to make a baby. I don't know about you, but that makes no damn sense to me.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Did you call that girl? Of course I did.
Catching up after work.
Guys, this round's on me.
What? You stupid.
You said that? You really said that?
I mean, you should have just
should have just seen that. Like, you should have been.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I'm spread way too thin. Everybody wants to know what's happening.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Tell me why you're rushing.
I'm back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Thank you for that, Evan. I got date night tonight. Steph and I are going to grab some dinner and then go check out the Dirty Heads.
Oh, it's going to be a hell of a show, man.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. I even rolled a couple of joints for the occasion. Gonna look forward to an outdoor venue at the Summerfest grounds here in Milwaukee. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. It's going to be a fun concert. Cannot wait. So, yeah, jam up. If you're going to hit the Dirty Heads, hit me up, 844-967-2789. I know we have some callers holding. Please be patient. Want to get to this other topic that Evan brought up. A subpoena preceded the search warrant in push to retrieve material from Trump. The New York Times, Maggie Haberman, and others are reporting. Trump received a subpoena this spring, in search of documents that federal investigators believe he had failed to turn over earlier in the year when he returned boxes of materials he had improperly taken with him upon moving out of the White House. 3 people familiar with the matter said. So he took all the stuff, gave back some of it, didn't give back all of it, so they got a subpoena. And what happened? I don't know. Let's find out. The existence of the subpoena helps flesh out the sequence of events that led to the search of Trump's Florida home on Monday. FBI agents seeking classified material they believe might still be there or not, maybe he sold them, even after efforts by the National Archives and the Justice Department to ensure that it had been returned. The subpoena suggests that the Justice Department tried methods short of a search warrant to account for the material before taking the politically explosive step of sending FBI agents unannounced to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's home. 2 people briefed on the classified documents that investigators believed remained at Mar-a-Lago indicated that they were so sensitive in nature and related to national security that the Justice Department had to act. I mean, just let that,
man,
breathe that in for a minute. They were so sensitive in nature and related to national security that the Justice Department felt like they had to act. They couldn't wait any longer. Of course, why would Donald Trump have something like that in his possession? Citizen Trump, not President Trump, not former President Trump. This is just regular old Mar-a-Lago old man in Florida, Florida man Trump.
The other part that really gets me is, whether or not I like to admit it, Trump is part of a protected class. Right? He gets more opportunities to protect himself. Somebody in this position, getting a subpoena like that, he had literally months to just go before a judge and stop this raid from happening. He could have come up with some weird settlement. He could have dropped documents back to the feds. I mean, but he didn't do any of it. And now we get this beautiful thing, this meaty thing.
It is a meaty thing. Trump is a meaty thing. But this one surprised me when the subpoena was first disclosed by John Solomon, a conservative journalist who has been also designated by Trump as one of his representatives to the National Archives. Now, if you folks remember, how Solomon used to write for The Hill, and he was big on the Biden Ukraine stuff. So he was pushing that line. Of course, he does not write there anymore. As the New York Times goes on to write, the existence of the subpoena is being used by allies of Trump to make the case that the former president and his team were cooperating with the Justice Department in identifying and returning the documents in question, and the search was unjustified. The Justice Department declined to comment. Christina Bobb, the lawyer working for Trump, did not respond to messages. It's not clear what precise materials the subpoena sought or what documents the former president might have provided in response. But we do know it related to national security, and he still had them. Like, I'll give you the cover sheets back, but I'm keeping the back? What? The subpoena factored into a visit that Jay Bratt, the Justice Department's top counterintelligence official, made with a small group of other federal officials to Mar-a-Lago weeks later in early June, one of the people said. So he gave some stuff back, didn't give it all back. They wanted the good stuff. So they issued a subpoena and they went down there with the counterintelligence officials? What? They met with Trump's lawyer, Evan Corcoran. Trump, who likes to play host and has a long history of trying to charm officials, inquiring about his practices, also made an appearance. During the visit, the officials examined a basement storage area where the former president stowed materials that had come with him from the White House. A few days after the visit, Bratt mailed Corcoran and told him to further secure the remaining documents, which were kept at a storage area with a stronger padlock, one of the people said. Then they subpoenaed surveillance footage from the club, which could give officials a glimpse of who was coming in and out of the storage area, according to a person with knowledge of the matter. They received footage specifically from areas of the club where they believed the documents might have been stored. During the same period, investigators were in contact with a number of Trump aides who had some visibility into how he stored and moved documents around the White House and who still worked for him. Among those whom investigators reached out to was Molly Michael, Trump's assistant in the outer Oval Office, who also went to work for him at Mar-a-Lago. Investigators have also reached out to Derek Lyons, the former White House staff secretary, whose last day was December 18th of 2020, no longer works for Trump, with questions about process for handling documents. Federal officials came to believe that Trump had not relinquished all the material that left the White House with him at the end of his term, according to three people familiar with the investigation. Less than 2 months later, about 24 FBI agents, intentionally not wearing the blue windbreakers emblazoned with the agency's logo usually worn during searches, appeared at Mar-a-Lago with a warrant. The club was closed. Trump was in New York. The FBI startled a crew fixing a large fountain, the maid who was dusting, and a handful of Secret Service agents who guard the complex. The search warrant was broad, allowing agents to investigate all areas of the club where classified materials might have been stored. They went through the basement, Trump's office, and at least part of the residence in the club. After hours of searching, they left with several boxes that were not filled to the brim and in some cases simply contained sealed envelopes. Trump's team declined to disclose the contents of the search warrant. Well, we have an option now, Trump. 3:00 tomorrow, baby. Some Republicans have been warned by allies, and we said this before, I'll say it again. Some Republicans have been warned by allies to not continue to be aggressive in criticizing the Justice Department and the FBI over the matter because it is possible that more damaging information related to the search will become public.
Man,
National
an FBI
security
director,
documents.
An FBI director Trump installed with a judge that Trump appointed, signing the warrant with Secret Service agents that belong to Trump, letting them in. It's just beautiful.
It seems like the walls are closing in on the con man that is Donald Trump. Justice will hopefully be served, and hopefully swiftly. Folks, for the Devil's Advocates, come back with us, 844-967-2789.
What's happening? I'm spread way too thin. What's the big rush now? Tell me what.
Go to the court for years. At the end, there'll be who knows what happens.
Yes, you. Of course. Of course.
From Wisconsin Dells to Dousman, WTTN 1580 AM is essential radio to get you through the pandemic. Hi, I'm a pleasant voice reminding you to enable Devil Radio before playing Devil Radio. First, you have to enable Devil Radio, which should be natural to Wisconsinites. Just say, Alexa, enable Devil Radio. Then firmly and confidently say, Alexa, play Devil Radio. This should conjure the Devil Radio app, available at the App Store.
Brian, what the heck are you doing?
I'm making a patio.
When I told you it was patio season, I didn't mean we had to make one of our own.
But I got all this grout all over me now.
Yeah, but I meant we need to go see Hawk at the all-new Jade Monkey on Cottage Grove Road. They've got an awesome patio, and it's the perfect place to stop for a cocktail after the show.
Jade Monkey has a patio? Why don't we go there?
Exactly. Now put down those power tools and let's go grab a drink.
That's all right. I was done anyway. Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Trump's search warrant. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Attorney General Merrick Garland says a judge has been asked to approve the unsealing of the warrant with which FBI agents searched former President Donald Trump's Florida estate. Garland says the request follows the outcry by Trump himself as well as his backers. The Attorney General explains why the Justice Department remains quiet normally about investigations.
Much of our work is by necessity conducted out of the public eye. We do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans and to protect the integrity of our investigations.
Garland says he personally agreed to the request of a federal judge to approve the search warrant, which was part of the ongoing investigation following the discovery of classified White House records in Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. An armed man wearing body armor tried to get into the FBI office in Cincinnati. He then led police on a car chase, firing several shots before he was injured in a standoff. No word on his condition. I'm Tim McGuire.
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com.
For Civic Media, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Tuesday's GOP gubernatorial primary had a voter turnout rate of 26%, the highest turnout for a non-presidential primary in the past 40 years, when Republican voters selected Trump-endorsed construction businessman Tim Michels over Rebecca Clayfish. Michels will now go up against Democratic incumbent Governor Tony Evers this fall. Voter turnout in the Democratic U.S. Senate primary was also high on Tuesday, second only to turnout in the 1982 primary over the past 40 years. Some interest in that race did fizzle over the past 2 weeks, with the leading Democratic candidates coalescing around Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes in his bid to take on Republican Senator Ron Johnson this November. Forecast of partly cloudy skies throughout the day with light winds and a high of 79 degrees. Partly cloudy skies expected into the evening with an overnight low of 54 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising, the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Solo Devil in today. Crudy's off. You got Dom and Evan on the board. You can join us at 844-967-2789. Merrick Garland moving to unseal the search warrant and the property receipt of the documents they took from Mar-a-Lago. Trump has till 3 o'clock tomorrow to decide. I'm sure he'll sleep well tonight. 844-967-2789. Mark from the SAC, you are up. Welcome, Mark. What do you got for us?
Yeah, Trump might need some chemical assistance to sleep tonight if he's actually thinking about any of this stuff. Aside, that to counteract the Adderall, he's snorting like a fiend.
Cannonball.
It just amazes me that these Republicans are complaining about all this stuff, because what happens if there's damning information about them in there? And in the first place, much of this information never should have left the White House in the first place. It was not Donald Trump's property. It was the property of we the people. I mean, of the office, and of course the office of the president. But it wasn't his in the first place. We don't know what's been destroyed. We don't know what's been passed on. And unfortunately, we just do not know at this point in time, because, did the Sods get any tasty little tidbits, when they were here with the little golf tournament? We don't know. I mean,
well, he had the surgeries in the White House yucking it up when he.
Yeah.
Oh no, Dom, where'd you go? We just lost you, buddy. All right, but why don't you were sort of.
I'm still here.
Yeah. What were you saying, Mark?
Yeah. You just don't know. I mean, when in my experiences, that I was never as a agent for the FBI or anything like that, but as my experience as an auditor, when people did not want to give you the documentation, you knew pretty much that there was a reason they did not want you to see that documentation.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just it's just horrifying that they think that they can, but Mark,
this is also a continuation. a continuation of how Trump has acted in his time in office, and certainly since then. Thanks for the call, man. If you recall, he had the surgeries in the White House after he fired Comey, yucking it up. God only knows what he said then. And I believe during the Helsinki meeting when he just said, I don't know why Putin, why it would be, right? Remember that whole debacle, what an embarrassment that was. I think they confiscated the interpreter's notes. I mean, so, he has been very flippant with national secrets, because of course he is, because he's Donald Trump. I mean, what people, please, what are we doing? I mean, of course that's how he's going to be. He said it himself. This is how he is. He did that. He does that stupid speech every once in a while. I've heard him. And the snake. Someone gives the bring home a snake and comforts and the snake ends up biting you. And why'd you do it? Well, I'm a snake, right? It's the snake story. I've heard him. I heard him tell that live.
Yeah.
He said the whole thing. It was like a 5-minute oratory about him being the snake. I'm thinking to myself, yes, he's the snake, and he is biting us, and he continues to do so. To your point, Evan, the fact that he could potentially have had national security documents, whatever they may be. I have no idea what it could be, but he's had them this long. I mean, talk about privilege, man.
The Saudis were there for a week, like not that long ago.
Right, dude. They could. I mean, if that was us, we'd have been hamstrung a long time ago. So that part is unfortunate, and it's not equal justice if the ex-president gets to sandbag it for a year and a half. A year and a half. Are you kidding me? And so the Republicans, all beside themselves. Oh, my goodness gracious, this is terrible. This is a witch hunt. So that comes out. Now you have the opportunity, right? How are you going to react, Republicans? How are you going to react, MAGA, if Trump says, well, he could have released it. It's his document. He has the search warrant. He has the property receipt. He could release it. He could have done it day one. He could have, put copies of it on his Truthy Social and put it out to the world. But he hasn't done it, which leads me to believe, if I were a betting man, that he's going to fight it. He's going to fight it, I believe. So again, Trump has until tomorrow at 3:00 to make that determination of whether or not he wants to release that document. Now, if he does fight it, I don't know if I have it in front of me here, but I believe they would set a court date for August 25th, I believe is what I read. So either way, we're going to get some resolution on this. But if you believe Donald Trump is innocent, you believe that this is a witch hunt, well, then by all means, release the data. Release the Kraken. Let us see what it's all about. And then we can make our own determination. And Republicans, if you decided that you're going to continue to back this fascist criminal who's stolen national security secrets and kept them unlocked in his residence. What kind of, if you're a postman and you steal the mail, they come and arrest you. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And we allow this to happen. So very, very disturbing stuff. And I'm anxious to see how the Republicans and how Trump is going to react to that. Now, the rhetoric on the right on all this, right? They're calling for violence, right? This is how they roll. Oh, and not necessarily like the establishment. I'm not sure Lindsey Graham is out there saying that you go hang Mike Pence, but they, by their behavior and by the words and the messaging, they're not discouraging it. And we've now seen today some perhaps, we don't know what the cause is, we don't know what the motivation is. But the FBI says a gunman in body armor tried to breach the Cincinnati field office. I mean, the timing is suspect, right? Given all the rhetoric around this topic, all the wagons being circled around the mega cult leader, I have to assume, and maybe we'll be wrong, we'll find out at some point, but I have to assume that at this point, I'm going to make the conjecture this guy's probably a Trumper-motivated guy. I mean, who goes into it? Here's a little bit of the story from the Post. An armed man wearing body armor tried to breach FBI's Cincinnati field office on Thursday, and a standoff continued into the early afternoon after he drove towards a highway. The suspect tried to enter the visitor screening facility at 9:15 a.m., the FBI said in a statement, but an alarm activated, alerting agents. The man fled northbound on Interstate 71, leading officers on a car chase near Wilmington, Ohio. The man driving a white Ford Crown Victoria. That's the old cop cars, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, old Crown Vic. Hell yeah.
Yeah, the Crown Vic. did not stop when a trooper tried to pull him over, instead firing his gun at authorities. When the car stopped near an overpass, a man got out and there was an exchange of gunfire. He said no officers, Dennis, this is the cop, said no officers had been injured and police had been injured. Police are not identifying the suspect. There is still an active standoff situation.
I was about to say, this is still happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Within a 1 mile radius of the standoff scene, residents and businesses were told to lock the doors and stay vigilant. According to the Clinton County Emergency Management Agency, the county agency said the man has not yet been taken into custody, but is contained. I guess all you can do is hope to contain him.
In plain view. I sort of picture it, a nice grassy knoll. He's in the center. He's surrounded by feds right now. Man.
The confrontation comes days after the agency executed a search warrant, ironically, right, at Trump's Florida estate. Since the search, threats of violence against the FBI from Trump supporters online have increased, and Republicans have intensified criticism of the agency. Senator Rick Scott, a Republican from Florida, likened the government to the Gestapo, and the New York Young Republican Club called for the arrest of those involved in the search. FBI Director for Chris Wray, let me rephrase that. Donald Trump appointed FBI Director for Christopher Wray called the threats deplorable and dangerous at a news conference in Omaha on Wednesday. His quote, "I'm always concerned about violence and threats of violence against law enforcement. Violence against law enforcement is not the answer, no matter what anybody is upset about or who they're upset with." I guess you should have told that to the Trumpsters sacking the Capitol.
And
during the incident in Ohio, Garland, while announcing that the Justice Department filed a motion to unseal the warrant, responded to the threats against the agents, calling them unfair. The men and women of the FBI and the Justice Department are dedicated, patriotic public servants. Every day they protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, and other threats to their safety while safeguarding our civil rights. They do so at great personal sacrifice and risk to themselves. I am honored to work alongside them. So, the rhetoric has ratcheted up, and I guess anytime you go after a cult leader, because this isn't about a former president. If the FBI went after Barack Obama for wrongdoing or George W. You pick your former president. If the FBI goes to a court, gets an order approved by a judge showing specific evidence of a crime or probable crime, and the judge approves it, that's how it works.
And it's serious.
That's exactly how it's supposed to work. And for Garland to come out today, and I guess I can appreciate the position that he's in, but again, generally they would not comment on ongoing investigations. So, we're seeing all this convoluting of the politics and of course the law and the cultiness of the whole thing, because these Republicans don't act that way when a search order is executed thousands of times every single day of the year, 365 days a year. It just happens all the time. And there is a reason why it goes through the process that it does. Now, can certain individuals within any agency or department, business, corporation, unions, radio staff, not radio staff, can people have conflicting interests and perhaps have bad thoughts on their mind to try to do things that they shouldn't do? Yes, of course. Human nature exists in its forms in all areas. Now, hopefully, a lot of that gets cut through the vetting process, right? Not anybody can just join the FBI. Yep. It's not working at the radio station. You got to be super talented to work here.
That's
baby.
Right, man.
Yeah. So, there is hopefully less of that, but certainly people can still be influenced. How the way Comey handled the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails, that has been a concern for many people, certainly even to this day.
And look at the juxtaposition, right? So that I see as one of the most sort of embarrassing blunders of a federal agency of all time. Just looking back at it, it makes my head hurt. It's like, oh my goodness gracious, the damage done, right, by him just doing it how he did it. And that is not this.
That is not this.
This uptick in violent rhetoric, that's why our attorney general went up there today and sort of broke general protocol. He had to say something.
And when the Benghazi hearings were going on, or the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server were going on, and all that, you didn't see any Hillary, cult followers, start threatening the FBI. You know what I'm saying? That didn't happen. I'm sure a lot of people were very upset. What seemed to be a political jab at Hillary Clinton, and you could argue maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Certainly, she should probably not have had emails in her possession. I got a problem with that. But I also have a problem with the president having physical documents related to national security in his possession that he should not have, and had a year and a half to play ball with the Justice Department and the archivist to return them or do whatever, and he still has declined to do so. So they had to finally execute a search warrant.
And there's some other exciting stuff going. Rick Scott gets his cell phone confiscated. And that's on a whole another issue. Now, apparently, Rick Scott is not. He's claimed that they have informed him that he is not the subject or the target of the investigation. So, I guess we'll see what happens there. Who is the target? Well, of course, all things emanate from Donald Trump. That's the case. So, again, this is historic in many ways. But we've never had such a criminal in office before. We've never had a guy like Donald Trump in office before. Nixon was bad. This is a 1,000 times worse, much worse. And now we see what the megas are doing. They're rallying. And some guy tried to shoot up an FBI office today. Now, we don't know the facts for sure on the motivation. We'll find out. And I'm hoping that if there's any responsible megas GOPs out there, that they'll withhold some of their judgment. See this for what it is. Yes.
Hey, they're calling the bluff. You want to see the search warrant? You want to see the property receipt? Okay, Trump, you can just say yes. All you have to do is say yes. Folks, we are the devil's advocates. Donald Trump did have a response today to Merrick Garland. We'll talk about that next. And of course, your calls 844-967-2789, rocking you like a hurricane.
It's, again, very new and potentially very bad.
Being a father is an honor, a challenge, a duty, a celebration, and a testimony. I want to be legendary for you because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can. But it's just as important to take time for yourself. AARP can help. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
But do you think the Biden administration's calling up Laura Ingraham and making the announcement to the world that we're invading Russia with amphibious troops? Come on, Trump. And I want to hear fine Trumpsters that want to defend that crap. He's a little late for the early bird buffet. Maybe you people were just naive marks who believed he was a super genius. Then I got some land I'd like to sell you outside of Fukushima.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice Hard Seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice Hard Seltzer.
My Shiro always goes the extra mile, stretches every dollar, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
And And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open 844-967-2789. Merrick Garland, the AG of this wonderful country, calling the mega bluff, saying he'll release, asking the judge to unseal the search warrant, the property receipt. Of course, Donald Trump could have made all this public the first day he got it. He's had it in his hand the whole time. So apparently Trump had some issues today, according to Sarah Burris from the Raw Story. Trump responds to Merrick Garland. He attacked Barack Obama on Thursday after Merrick Garland made a statement announcing that he plans to unseal the search warrant issued against Mar-a-Lago. Garland said that normally the department wouldn't have said anything and simply spoken through their court filings, but in this case, he wanted to make it clear that they made every effort to obtain the documents requested and were unable to obtain them from the former president. Let's not forget, a subpoena was issued earlier in the spring. That also came out today. Garland did not explain the reason for the search, but stressed there was probable cause and said he asked the court to make the case's documents public. I personally approve the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. He told reporters the department does not take such a decision lightly. Trump responded to the press briefing not by attacking Garland or proclaiming his innocence, because of course he's not innocent. Instead, Trump attacked the black guy, Obama. Here's what Trump said. I continue to ask, what happened to the 33 million pages of documents taken to Chicago by President Obama? Trump raged on his social media site.
What are you even saying, man? Oh.
The fake news media refuses to talk about that. They want it canceled. Canceled is
that's a big word, man. That's pretty good.
Trump appears, I mean, who knows, but apparently, according to the Raw Story, Sarah Burris says Trump appears to be referring to records shipped to Chicago for Obama's presidential library. Hey, maybe he was just keeping this stuff, for his presidential library.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, of course. That makes sense. Now that you mention it, we're good.
Well, his presidential library is like a shelf in his bathroom, right? As was reported in late 2016, the Obama team was transferring the records to Chicago through the National Archives, which legally owns the documents once the president leaves office, the Washington Post wrote in a fact-checking article earlier this week. Once the documents ultimately reached a warehouse in Chicago, the Obama Foundation was then due to pay the National Archives and Record Administration to digitize the documents. The lengthiness of that process aside, there isn't the faintest hint of legal violations. The extraordinary FBI raid this week on Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence has sparked a political firestorm in an already bitterly divided country and comes as he's weighing another White House bid. Leading Republicans have rallied around the president, a former president who was not present when the raid took place. Trump's former vice president, Mike Pence, a potential 2024 rival, expressed deep concern and said the raid smacked of partisanship by the Justice Department. Again, total bunk. I mean, you hack. What about it is partisan? Because the guy is a Republican? Is that it?
It really is that simple, man. It is.
That's it. That's it. I mean, if it was on anybody else, it'd be all total justice, law and order. But since it's their cult leader, it smacks some partisanship. Garland criticized the unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and Justice Department's agents and prosecutors. In a later post, Trump claimed he was cooperating with federal agents and said he didn't have any of the documents that they said he had. I don't have it. Here's his quote. My attorneys and representatives were cooperating fully, and very good relationships had been established. The government could have had whatever they wanted if we had it. They asked us to put an additional lock on a certain area. Done! All caps. Everything was fine. Better than most of the previous presidents. I don't know how he gauges that. And then, out of nowhere, and with no warning, Mar-a-Lago was raided at 6:30 in the morning by very, capitalized, large numbers of agents and even safecrackers. They got way ahead of themselves. Crazy, the statement read.
The lies. It's incredible, man. It really is amazing.
It just rolls off the tongue. Almost every single word that comes out of his mouth can be refuted. You know what I'm saying? And it's one thing to have an opinion. You might think you had a good relationship. But again, if they could have anything they wanted, why did it take them so long to get the initial 15 boxes? And if they could get everything they wanted, why did they have to get a search warrant after they issued a subpoena to come and get those documents? Trump, I mean, the facts of the matter, the facts go against exactly what you're saying, and you could clear it up. Why don't you put the list out, man? Do it. You have the opportunity. Republicans, all you megas out there, don't you want to see it? If this is and I don't want any sort of political persecution. I'm not down for that. We cannot have that. That is not how we're supposed to do things. Can things happen? Sure. People are people. As a very fine attorney once told me, Jeff Scott Olson said to me, Dominic, we are a flawed species. Well, yes, we are. And so all we can do is endeavor to be better, I guess, right? To acknowledge that and try to do better every day. Man, live righteously however it is that you want to do it. But as far as our systems and institutions are concerned, those things, political prosecutions, persecutions, of course, I don't want that, even against Trump. I do not want a hot-headed, progressive attorney general, if that's what you want to call Merrick, Garland, or hell, even Bernie Sanders. Put a socialist, Marxist, put anyone you want into that position. I do not want political persecutions of anybody because of their politics, ever. I don't care how big of a POS that person might be. People have a right to be a big POS. But what you don't have a right is to steal documents. You don't have a right to confiscate national security documents. You don't have a right to sandbag it for 18 months. And the fact that they went along with this as long as they did is a little concerning to me. Again, we talk about Jim Santel. You don't want to be political one way. You also want to be political on the other side too, right? Failure to go after egregious perceived crimes. And we won't know until you go have a trial, right? You don't know till the search warrant's executed. But there's probable cause. There's lots of probable cause. And this is just one case. One. And he's got a whole bunch of other cases that we're going to talk about today as well. Lots of updates. And it just seems like the news is swirling around Trump faster and faster and faster.
And that's kind of what I meant at the top of the show, was that we needed this, right? To see our attorney general up there doing the damn thing, right?
It is important. I'm glad he did it. And he didn't take questions. He didn't go on and yak and talk for 30 minutes. He did a less than a 4-minute speech, put the facts out there, put his position out there, because he's got to defend his people, man. I mean, the megas are going after. They're saying they want to hang this judge. I mean, you know how it is. The hang Mike Pence crowd is still very, very culty and still very, very behind Donald Trump. And I hope that some cooler heads will prevail, because of course you don't know squat. None of you critics do. I don't know it. I mean, we have some ideas, but you don't know that this is a political persecution, do you? Do you? Because if it was, Trump would have released the documents already. We are the Devil's Advocates. Thank you for sticking around. We got the happy hour coming up next, and your calls at 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
They think he's a righteous dude.
There's a lot of, badness.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call today.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 8 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison. Always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
P-News, I'm Tim McGuire. The Justice Department had been silent since FBI agents searched former President Donald Trump's Florida estate. Trump and Republican allies filled the vacuum. AP Sagar Magani reports Attorney General Merrick Garland says the warrant should now be unsealed.
After announcing his department wants the Mar-a-Lago search warrant unsealed,
this is all I can say at this time.
Attorney General Merrick Garland said that's what the law and fairness dictate. GOP Senator Lindsey Graham, a Trump ally, says when it comes to the ex-president, fairness doesn't exist.
Is it plausible the FBI would investigate President Trump without merit? Yes.
Saying Garland must explain exactly why the search happened.
And you may have a good reason, but there is so much suspicion out there.
Texas Congressman Troy Nehls is more blunt.
They want to destroy this guy.
Telling the AP it doesn't really matter what a corrupt Justice Department says.
They lie to the American people.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
An armed man dressed in body armor tried but failed to get into the FBI office in Cincinnati this morning. Ohio Highway Patrol Lieutenant Nathan Dennis says the man led a state trooper and other police on a chase on I-71 north of Cincinnati.
Throughout the pursuit, it continued northbound on 71. The suspect vehicle did fire shots during that pursuit.
That from WKEF WRGT. Once the car was stopped, there were gunshots between the suspect and police. An Ohio County emergency management official says the standoff is over, but the posting on the Clinton County Facebook page included no information on how the standoff was resolved or the status of the suspect, nor a motive for his actions. Small losses for the S&P and NASDAQ today, while the Dow gained 0.1%, up 27 points. This is AP News. A New Hampshire...
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/.
Here we are, the young contender, scrappy, controversial, has an impressive reach. Devil Radio 92.7.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
This local musical interlude is brought to you by Max Inc. Radio. Kelsey Miles.
Let the music roll. Hit it.
Listen to Max Inc. Radio every Saturday and Sunday, 6 p.m. to midnight. Download the podcast at maxincradio.com. We are local music.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstead of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I'm excited to announce our new beer, AOC IPA. This IPA pays homage to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a champion of the progressive movement. AOC IPA is now available in stores throughout Wisconsin. Check our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to see which stores in your area are carrying it.
It could be, it might be, it is Devil Radio 92.7.
For Civic Media, I'm Jane Natner with your headlines. Dane County Sheriff Calvin Barrett says he's not convinced the new jail consolidation plan proposed by the Black Caucus of the Dane County Board is a good idea. WISC TV reporting the plan presents an alternative to the current planned facility. That project still stalled without the approval and of additional $10 million. The plan from the Black Caucus would shave 100 beds and an entire floor of the current planned facility in order to keep it on budget. It also includes several specific criminal justice reform policies like weekend court and bail reform. Barrett says the reduction in beds won't limit the jail population and will only perpetuate the issues with the old facility. The current jail has 1,013 beds as of today, housing 776 residents. Partly cloudy today, high 79. Partly cloudy tonight, low 54. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
And welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. I'm your host, Salvia Crudi. Has a well-deserved couple of days off, so I am solo today. Well, not really. I got Evan on the board, of course, our fair audience. You are the guest today, 844-967-2789. Tomorrow, though, I will be off. Got the Dirty Heads concert tonight, so I'm not going to be doing a radio show tomorrow. But our pal, Matt Rothschild, he's the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. He's stepping up and filling in as the guest host. So make sure you tune in for Matt. He's a cool cat tomorrow, Friday. 844-967-2789. I know we got some friends holding, but I want to be patient. I want to throw this one out there as well. I know we have some other markets picking up right now, listening for the first time perhaps today. And I want to talk about Merrick Garland. Almost AG Day. We're getting there. It's getting there, but not quite yet. Merrick Garland spoke today wanting to unseal the search warrant and property receipts of the raid of Trump's home down in Florida. We have his full remarks. It's less than 4 minutes. I want to play it for you people. Then we'll have a continued discussion on this. So if you would please, no more further ado, play cut number 10.
Good afternoon. Since I became Attorney General, I have made clear that the Department of Justice will speak through its court filings and its work. Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week. That search was of premises located in Florida belonging to the former president. The department did not make any public statements on the day of the search. The former president publicly confirmed the search that evening, as is his right. Copies of both the warrant and the FBI property receipt were provided on the day of the search to the former president's counsel, who was on site during the search. The search warrant was authorized by a federal court upon the required finding of probable cause. The property receipt is a document that federal law requires law enforcement agents to leave with the property owner. The department filed the motion to make public the warrant and receipt in light of the former president's public confirmation of the search, the surrounding circumstances, and the substantial public interest in this matter. Faithful adherence to the rule of law is the bedrock principle of the Justice Department and of our democracy. Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly, without fear or favor. Under my watch, that is precisely what the Justice Department is doing. All Americans are entitled to the even-handed application of the law, to due process of the law, and to the presumption of innocence. Much of our work is by necessity conducted out of the public eye. We do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans and to protect the integrity of our investigations. Federal law, longstanding department rules, and our ethical obligations prevent me from providing further details as to the basis of the search at this time. There are, however, certain points I want you to know. First, I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter.
Oh.
Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly. Where possible, it is standard practice to seek less intrusive means as an alternative to a search and to narrowly scope any search that is undertaken. Third, let me address recent unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and Justice Department agents and prosecutors. I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked. The men and women of the FBI and the Justice Department are dedicated, patriotic public servants. Every day, they protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, and other threats to their safety while safeguarding our civil rights. They do so at great personal sacrifice and risk to themselves. I am honored to work alongside them. This is all I can say right now. More information will be made available in the appropriate way and at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney General, the former president said this FBI agents.
Thank you all for your questions, but as I said, this is all I can say at this time.
A real mic drop moment.
Attorney General Merrick Garland speaking today on the raid on Trump's house regarding these documents. A couple more things to note. Now, Trump and his team could have released what they're seeking to unseal, the search warrant and the property receipt, anytime. They could do it now. They could have done it the day of. Trump was all over his social media. I mean, he's got attorneys. Everyone's out there in the media talking about, oh, this is terrible. Okay, release it. Well, they decided not to. Because why? You can't fundraise off it if people know what it is. So in the meantime, you can claim persecution. You can claim a conspiracy against me. You can claim all these things. And cha-ching, and the Trump cult members will just open up their checkbooks and give it to you. Another thing, Donald Trump and his attorneys have until, 3 p.m. tomorrow to decide whether they want to allow it or fight it. My understanding, if they decide to fight it, which of course they lose either way, that they would then go to court on the 25th of August of this month. So in 2 weeks. So this is going to unfold quickly here in the next couple of weeks, probably by tomorrow. We'll know what Trump team says. 844-967-2789. Super glad a friend of ours decided to call in. Let me get your thoughts. Maggie Dawn, welcome to the Devil's Advocates. How you doing, sister?
Really good, Dom. What an eventful week of news.
Wow, right?
I mean, quite a display in the last 2 to 3 weeks from the Attorney General. And I mean display in the most deferential sense of the word, right?
Yeah.
What he was saying in that statement was, this is how we do our work. Our work, when done correctly, sometimes requires privacy, right, and secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
But when we do take the liberty, right, the invasion of someone's privacy, that was court sanctioned, and there was a finding of probable cause. And because there's now such consternation over the basis of that search, we're going to provide those documents to the public. It was just such a clear step-by-step explanation of what they did and why they do the way they do it, in the way they do it, right?
Yeah.
Just very stepwise, without emphasis, right? Without editorializing. This is what good law enforcement officials look and feel like. right?
It seems like we've been lacking for that kind of, I don't know, professionalism and ethical leadership in quite some time.
The restraint, right? Like, what he's saying is so incredibly important, but the language and the tone that he's using is so incredibly restrained. Contrast that to Bill Barr coming out with his own editorial report on an independent prosecutor's report, right?
Right.
This stands in such sharp contrast. And when you put this in the context of Donald Trump in a civil matter having taken the Fifth Amendment, part of what I think has been lost in some of the, oh my gosh, the Fifth, he's pleading the Fifth, and he said all these terrible things about the Fifth and that we should presume guilt. Well, yes, the hypocrisy is, of course, one thing. But what people don't, I think, realize, if you're not a lawyer, is that when you plead the Fifth in a civil case, that is not without penalty.
Right.
It means that a jury in a civil matter, which this was, in which he took the Fifth Amendment, can be instructed very clearly by a judge, basically in the judge's discretion, to make whatever assumptions the jury thinks are appropriate given the invocation of the Fifth Amendment.
They can make a negative inference on the fact in a civil case that the person, Trump in this case, took the Fifth, and he took the Fifth 440 times, Maggie Dawn. I mean, he didn't quite get to Eric's 500, but the man took the Fifth 400 plus times.
I mean, it's quite incredible, right?
Right.
That a man who has protected his tax returns, you know, like the Federal Reserve protects the gold bars that underlie our currency. Oh, wait, we're not on the gold standard. That happened in the 70s. But you get my point, right? Like,
right.
Who has so girded himself against any questioning, intrusion, transparency about his private business, when in a civil matter about his business, would literally rather have a jury make negative inferences than simply answer questions about property valuation. Keep in mind,
but he can't. I mean, he's in a box in that regard, mate. Because of course, if he speaks, he's lying, and if he's lying, it's going to be not only perjury, but he also could give himself up
this is the Bill
criminally.
Clinton problem, isn't it? This is the Bill Clinton problem. Bill Clinton ended up getting impeached, right? Because in a civil matter about sexual harassment, he arguably lied under oath. That was the basis for Bill Clinton's impeachment, isn't it? As I recently communicated with you, my friend, isn't it quaint that one of the things that we were worried about in 2016 was the fact that Trump's campaign paid off a porn star to keep quiet? That's what we were worried about then, and that might have been a crime.
Well, and it was a harbinger of things to come, Maggie Dawn. I mean, the character of that man or lack thereof just oozes from him in everything he does and everything he touches. Maggie, stick around. We're going to go to a break. You got some time for another segment?
For you, my friend, always.
Oh, yeah. Maggie Dawn. Love to hear from my pal, Maggie Dawn. Love to hear from you, our fair audience, as well. Our phone number, 844-967-2789. Stick around. We will be right back.
If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
You are one pathetic loser.
Learning in person.
All right, everybody settle down. Find your place, please.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
Listen, get your books out. We're going to start here with chapter
Get the
3.
latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The radio show your mother warned you about.
Actual tyranny of a dictator. Dictator's going to dictate Putin. And what did Trump do? Trump kneeled to the man. Embarrassing Republicans. And you're still with the guy? This is your front runner in 2024? You've been smoking some of Mike Lindell's crack. What are you thinking?
They're the GCCCP. We are the Devil's Advocates.
Live weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
History is rife with the likes of you. History is littered with the likes of you.
Occupy didn't start on Wall Street. It started on our street. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's not quite Merrick Garland Day, but is a big day. It's been a big couple of weeks in news, political news in this country. Our pal Maggie Dawn checking in. She's Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel, but more importantly, a friend of the Devil's Advocates and a very smart person. Maggie, appreciate you checking in. Thanks again. Wanted to get your sense. Donald Trump, bitched about this immediately, and he's been fundraising off it right away. And in some of what I've seen, some of the reporting of the actual filing with the court that the DOJ is issued, is that basically, Trump did this. He started this, right? I mean, the DOJ didn't say squat about it. They had no public conversation about this. This was all driven by Trump, and now he's kind of forcing Trump's hands. I mean, do you see, what's your thought on how this is playing out? Do you think Trump is getting what he wanted, or do you think this is kind of a surprise that the DOJ reacted the way they did?
Oh, this was a complete surprise. And this caught not only Trump, but his lawyers flat-footed. There's no question about that. They didn't even let local law enforcement know. So the two jurisdictions that overlap Mar-a-Lago are a local police department as well as a sheriff's department. The FBI didn't coordinate with them at all. That is a very unusual breach of protocol. One can only speculate about why that might be the case. Here's pure rabid speculation.
We love it here.
If I call the local police department, whom Trump has given millions of dollars to, right, and who's probably donated to maybe that police chief's campaign. I'm not saying he's elected, but if he is, I'm going to guess there might be a couple of dollars coming from Trump, right? That I'm sure there's a new firehouse that's built, right? All of the things that sort of the accoutrement of the great criminals is that they always make sure that people right around them are very well taken care of. I don't mean to say that I know any of those things for a fact, but I'm sure a couple of them are true, right? So the FBI,
I take that action, right?
Right? Like, that's better than, 3-to-1 odds. I'd put that at, 90-to-1 odds, that what I'm intimating is true. And, in fact, the reason that I draw that inference is that the FBI was so concerned that they didn't use what is Law Enforcement Protocol 101. And that is that you coordinate with the local law enforcement agencies. And they didn't do that. Now, this comes, again, in a case I mentioned before break. It's basically about him overestimating the value of properties when he wants to get a loan. And then, all of a sudden, that same property magically is, worth way less when it comes to tax time.
Right.
Now, can this amount to, some criminal activity? Sure. But this is sort of generic white-collar criminal activity, right? It's not that big of a deal. One has to ask, oneself. Here he's taking the fifth in this case that's about basically like, it's a little bit, a few million more when it's about the loans and a few million less when it's about the tax. And then here is this other sort of innocuous sounding crime. A failure to abide by effectively this Records Act, which, of course, interestingly enough, was enacted after Nixon absconded with all kinds of documents.
Well, and then Trump, toughened it up. I mean, he's the one that expanded the penalty for it. But Maggie, I mean, this is also
because Clinton.
Right. This is national security documents.
And the service, right?
But he was subpoenaed on this news also on top of this, and there's so many investigations of crimes that Trump is hopefully going to pay for, but specifically on the document thing itself, he's at a year and a half. I mean, you and I would not, if you took something.
They had served him with the subpoena. Usually federal subpoena return times are like, if they're going to be nice about it, like 90 days. They don't mess around. If they're coming for you, you get served the subpoena. It's like, give us the data.
Right. Yeah, he was served a subpoena in June.
A year and a half. Yes. They're not going to get. So what can you do in a year and a half with a lot of data? You can sanitize it. It's like a room full of people going through electronic data files, like redacting stuff, just making it really hard for the government to figure out what's going on. I know. I used to do it for a living. I worked for banks.
So, but the motivation, though, I mean, obviously they had a counterintelligence, person that came down. They were visited the location already. So this was a very big concern for the Department of Justice, and they were, Trump seemingly was sandbagging this thing. So they finally pulled the trigger, and Trump's the one that decides to tell everybody. And now he's got to come up by 3:00 tomorrow whether or not to release the information or go to court on the 25th. Maggie Dawn, what do you think? Do you think what will Trump do? Will he acknowledge? Will he accept and release the property receipt and the search warrant?
So there was a very little paid attention to interview that happened on Fox News that I think was really critically important.
What's that?
So after the raid had happened, they start getting the documents. Who's Trump's great friend that appears on Fox News as like the legal commentator of legal commentators? It's his great friend, Alan Dershowitz. And what does Alan Dershowitz say? He basically says Trump's lawyers stink. And none of this should have gone down today. His lawyers should have been in a federal court by like 10 a.m. shutting the search warrant down. So I have to tell you, Orange Man in Chief, someone in his orbit told him to watch that. It's as if Alan Dershowitz would have picked up the phone and called Trump. So what do I think is going to happen before tomorrow? He's not going to turn the documents over. That's just not the style, right? The style is like Alex Jones, $45 million in and he's like, no. Still totally a conspiracy. Well, maybe I won't say that part out loud, but like nearly a conspiracy, and this is all. It's just. I wonder at what dollar amount, right? Like, does someone actually think that doubling down may not be the best political and legal strategy?
I don't know. Apparently, Trump's got lots of money, so we'll see. Maggie Dawn, thank you so much for checking in. We do appreciate it, as always. We love it when our audience participates at 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on WTTN 1580 AM, Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Dark Horse Art Bar is Madison's newest live music venue and art gallery on East Washington Avenue. Check out these upcoming events at the Dark Horse. Little Church is a splattering of art, pop, rock, soul, and gentle Eskimo kisses by a bear-shaped robot that can't control its voltage. Little Church with Mickey Sunshine, Sunday, July 24th. Dark Horse Art Bar and Gallery, 756 East Washington Avenue. Find them online at darkhorsemadison.com.
If you think you need a home inspection, you probably do. Hi, I'm Todd Osborne of Orion Inspections. And buyers, sellers, and even flippers, I'm talking to you. Knowledge is power when it comes to real estate transactions. You'll get an image-packed, searchable, digital, printable report of the condition of the house, things to keep an eye on, any safety issues or defects, and the knowledge to make smart, informed decisions. Your instinct is telling you to get an inspection, and instincts are usually right. Learn more or schedule today at Orion Inspections.
Garland and Trump's search. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Attorney General Merrick Garland says the Justice Department has asked the court to unseal the search warrant the FBI received before searching the Florida estate of former President Donald Trump. Garland cited the substantial public interest in the matter, adding,
I personally approve the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter.
As for the search,
the department does not take such a decision lightly. Where possible, it is standard practice to seek less intrusive means as an alternative to a search and to narrowly scope any search that is undertaken.
Police in Ohio say an armed man dressed in body armor who tried to get into the FBI field office in Cincinnati this morning is dead. Police say the man was killed in a shootout with officers after a chase along an interstate north of the city. There's no word yet on his identity nor motive. I'm Tim McGuire.
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/.
From Up North News, I'm Pat Kreitlow. Can we start with a cuteness alert? You might overdose on adorableness when you see the little girl offering pretend cups of tea to Packers players as they walk past her at practice. We've got a link in our newsletter. It's the uplifting moment we need after working on a story about how U.S. Postal Service cutbacks supported by Senator Ron Johnson continue to plague rural customers and small businesses in Wisconsin. And remember when President Biden went to Superior earlier this year to show how one of the major Twin Ports bridges could benefit from a bipartisan infrastructure plan? Well, thanks to that new law, the old span is one step closer to a long overdue rebuild. On the radio show, we talked to a UWM professor about the climate portions of the Inflation Reduction Act. We're on the Devil Radio app weekdays from 8 to 11. And you can catch this and more in our daily newsletter. Sign up at upnorthnewswi.com.
I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open 844-967-2789. Follow up to a story we discussed earlier on Thursday. The Daily Beast reported that the police have finished the standoff with a suspect behind the shooting at an FBI field office in Cincinnati after he led them on a chase that culminated in hours in a cornfield. Quote, the gunman, who has not been identified, fled over 40 miles northeast with the Ohio State Patrol giving chase after he failed to breach the federal building around 9 a.m. As he fled, authorities say gunfire was exchanged between officers and the suspect, who took cover in a cornfield for more than 5 hours. While the standoff is over, authorities have not said whether the gunman was arrested or killed. The announcement to lift all lockdown recommendations came at 4:25 p.m. from the Clinton County Emergency Management. As cops chased the gunman through rural community of Wilmington, the county's emergency management agency told residents within 1 mile radius to stay inside, lock their doors, and remain vigilant. That he was armed, wearing a gray shirt and body armor, because, doesn't everyone wear body armor? So anyway, the situation, the standoff has ended. We do not know to how exactly, but it is apparently over. Maybe
the gunman has been killed.
Oh, he has been killed.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, at least no one else was hurt, so we're thankful for that. 844-967-2789. Before we get to the callers, I want to throw this one out there as well. The Republicans, all beside themselves because of the warrant and execution of the search warrant at Trump's house. According to the Raw story, the Trump-loving Florida State Rep Anthony Sabatini on Thursday vowed to defund the entire Federal Bureau of Investigation after it executed a lawful bench
Of course they did.
against the former President Donald Trump. So the Republicans want to defund the police.
Wow.
During an appearance on the right-wing Real America's Voice channel, Sabatini explained why it would not be enough for Republicans to simply hold hearings and search on the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. Here's his quote. "The plan should be, first, you defund." You hear that? Right? You hear that, right? You kill an unarmed black man, and no, can't defund the police, but you execute a lawful warrant on the cult leader, and now you got to defund them. The plan should be, first you defund, then you follow up with the hearings, Sabatini declared. So first we defund them. First we gut them like a fish. Bring the DOJ to heel. All the DOJ law enforcement agencies, the FBI is obviously the most important one. After defunding the entire federal law enforcement apparatus, Sabatini said that hearings could then establish if, quote, some of their original purpose is still valid before deciding whether to give them any money. Are you kidding me? The law and order people who are just so mad that someone would possibly recommend, reorientating or doing how the police get their funding, or maybe reallocate some of those funds to different services. Heaven forbid, defund the police, Marxist, communist, And now you got this Republican cult member saying, because Trump had a lawful warrant executed against him for stealing national security documents, that they're going to defund the FBI. It's almost too much. It's almost
Oh, okay, all right.
But I mean, there's no hypocrisy. There's no shame. It's just a bunch of grandstanding D-bags, and this is how it is. I mean, I don't listen. If this was to be some person that I voted for, or somebody that I cared about, or someone that I thought was a leader in a party or a movement, and they did some things that they got caught for or were suspected of doing, and so what? Okay, too bad. I mean, you pay to play, right? If you play, you got to pay. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I mean, pick your saying.
Yep.
But I'm consistent, man. If it was me or Crudy and we were doing something and that happened, you know what? That's what happens. That's the price. You know what's going to come down if you start doing some nefarious things. As it should be, generally speaking. Now, what we consider nefarious and what we consider breaking the laws, those are up for discussion. But either way, as casual pot users, I understand that I am engaging in an activity that, while legal in many states are surrounding me, I'm an island here of persecution. You take those risks, right?
Yeah.
And everyone knows what the risks are. And now perhaps we should change those laws. They should not have those risks be associated with drug use, for example. But no matter what, that's how it is right now, and that's the price to pay. And Trump knew what he was doing, and those Republicans who support him don't know what he did. I'm pretty sure Trump didn't tell them. He hasn't shared the search warrant or the property receipt, and he has until 3:00 tomorrow to do it. And I'm with Maggie on this one. He's not going to do it. He's going to fight it.
Oh, not a chance. Yeah.
No. He's got to fundraise off. He's got to pay for the attorneys, maybe some new attorneys. 844-967-2789. All right, let's do it. Let's hear it from the Trumpster. CJ, you are up. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey there, Dom. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure, man.
It really, this whole thing, 2022, this is out of a desperation move by the Democrats.
I'm sorry. What do you mean? What is the desperation move? Hang on, CJ. You gotta explain yourself. What is the desperation move?
By Merrick, Garland. I mean, this really goes against everything that is justice, and that's okay. But it. See,
well, hang on. Okay, now let me respond to that. CJ, listen, I want to have a conversation with you, but you can't. If you're going to say something, you're going to have to allow me to respond. So this goes against everything that justice is. So it's a search warrant, right? It's signed by a judge.
No,
for probable cause.
It was a raid.
It was a raid. They have probable cause, right? I mean, that's how you get a search warrant. You have to they go to the judge, and the judge signs off on it. So you're saying that that's not the case?
I got a question for you, though, Don.
Wait, answer my question. You're saying that I want some specificity on your position, CJ.
I know, and I'm going to give it to you.
Okay, go ahead. Well, asking me questions is not asking me a question to my question is not giving me specificity. That's you just pivoting. So if you want to have a conversation, CJ, answer the question. How exactly is this a somehow not justice in your mind?
Because now this whole thing it doesn't solve the issue for the American people. It's not going to change.
What issue, man? What issue is this supposed to solve? If a former president takes national security documents out of the White House, CJ, shouldn't they be prosecuted for that?
It's about people's economy, stupid. It's still.
Well, this isn't. We're not talking about the economy, man. The Department of Justice has nothing to do with the economy, CJ. The Department of Justice is all about executing a search warrant. I mean, this is what the Department of Justice do. The Department of Justice doesn't set policy on what interest rates should be. That's the Fed, right? The Department of Justice does not set what the tax rates are going to be. Does not set the budget, CJ.
You now claim that the Republicans claim defund the police now.
That's what he said. Yes, that's exactly what he said. Okay, so you agree with the Republican from Florida about defunding the FBI?
I want an investigation, and you don't. You don't want oversight. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. When there's
an investigation of what? What are you suggesting was done wrong? What are you suggesting was done wrong
on your side? Because
on what side?
Very good reason to be suspicious.
CJ, Christopher Wray was appointed by Donald Trump, right? Christopher Wray was appointed by Donald Trump, right?
Look at Comey.
What about Comey? What are you talking about? CJ, listen. Donald Trump. Donald Trump took. Listen, CJ, you're going off all over the board here, man. So let me just kind of keep you on focus here.
Corruption's both sides.
What corruption? What corruption? Merrick Garland is corrupt in what way? Based on what do you offer that state assessment?
He said when possible. He didn't go through another subpoena or anything.
Trump was subpoenaed. What are you talking about? Trump was subpoenaed in June.
Take over in November.
Trump was subpoenaed in June, dude. Right? Can you confirm the facts for me? Was Trump subpoenaed in June? Yes or no? Do you agree with the reporting?
John Durham's 30 subpoenas.
Was Trump subpoenaed in June, CJ? See how it is. See how this is going. You're just talking trash, and you don't answer. You're like the Megas man. You don't even respond. You say Merrick Garland is somehow corrupt, but you can't offer any sort of evidence to even back up your claim. What did Merrick Garland do to make you call him corrupt, other than go after your guy?
I've given you example after example.
No, you haven't. You give me 0 examples. What did Merrick Garland do for you to call him corrupt?
Okay. Then look up Saturday's New York Post.
I'm asking you, dude. You have the mic right now. Tell me.
Evidence.
What you telling me to go read something isn't giving me anything. What does Merrick Garland do?
Look at March 19th.
Oh, my God, dude. Whatever. 844-967-2789. See, people, I try, man. I try.
You really do. You do.
And I just want to stick to the point because, Merrick Garland hasn't done anything that I've seen to call him corrupt. In fact, he was very professional, very on point. There are crimes that Donald Trump has apparently committed. Or they're
still speaking to Trump's rights. He has the right.
He has the right. He has the right until 3 o'clock tomorrow, and he can fight it in court.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump had an issue, he could have released this information already. But CJ, he's not doing it because he's fundraising off of it. You see what I'm saying? He's not doing it because if he releases it, then the thought of what could be, that goes away, right? All of a sudden, now we know what it is. And once you find out what it is, CJ and Republicans, maybe then you're going to be questioning, damn, maybe it's bad, dude. Maybe Trump actually did something in this particular case. Maybe there's a reason why Trump returned the 15 boxes in January 22. I mean, there's a reason he was subpoenaed in spring for additional documents. Maybe there's a reason that FBI officials visited Mar-a-Lago on June 3rd. Maybe there's a reason that FBI requested additional lock on the storage room on June 8th. Maybe on June 22nd, when the FBI subpoenaed the surveillance footage, there was a reason for that. And maybe there was a reason the FBI executed their lawful search warrant to search the property, which apparently related to national security. Not all you law and order and patriotic, waving the flag, America's great land of exceptionalism, but you got a con man somehow, in some way, according to the reports, getting information or getting some records related to national security, and the DOJ has got to go beg and beg and beg to get the stuff back, and he doesn't give it back. Yeah, I mean, at some point that becomes a problem, CJ. And you can't tell me that the FBI or whoever's in charge are corrupt because they execute a lawful search warrant, dude. Oh, man. 844-967-2789. Dick from Madison, you are up. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Oh, nicely done. Hey, first of all, two real quick things. So CJ, gas is down for the 63rd day in a row. But Trump, 440 times. I'll see if I get a better laugh than I did out of Matt Flynn. I don't see him as being that fit to run the 440.
Nice, dude.
And another one to CJ, who's saying all this false stuff about the FBI and all these Republicans. Chew on this, CJ, buddy. John Bolton thanked Merrick Garland and the DOJ and the FBI, for saving his goddamn life. How about that? How come?
Thank you for the adult call, Dick. Always appreciate it. Very spirited conversation. 844-967-2789. We got a couple more minutes in this segment. We'll continue to take your calls to the top of the hour. Dana from La Crosse. Welcome, Dana. What do you got?
Dom, how you doing, man? Flying
good, man. Today, how you doing? Huh? Yeah, I do my best, man. People get me fired up, though.
I can tell. I'm glad I was able to tune in for it. I got to tell you, CJ, you don't want accountability. You don't want investigation. If it's against Republican, you don't want that. You want a free ride for all Republicans. You guys think that everybody in the world is lying but Trump and right-wing media. Do you guys not understand just basic psychology? When somebody that's accused of lying tells you that everybody else is lying, come on, you know who's lying. Come on. Do these people have kids? If they got kids and they give their kids passes like that, well, those kids.
I doubt it. Hopefully not. Hopefully they're not breeding, Dana. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
Damn right I did!
Here's today's STEM tip. Don't throw out that old plastic bottle. Repurpose it by turning it into an awesome terrarium. Just fill it with sand, pebbles, soil, and your favorite plant. It'll grow sealed right in its own ecosystem. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
please be done.
Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Matt from Mount World. Welcome, Matt. What do you got for us?
I don't get these people, man. All these teachers are groomers and pedophiles. We need them armed to the teeth. The only way.
Right.
Is your name Jeffrey Lebowski? Because your mind is limber.
Oh,
appreciate you listening.
That's a great point, though. Yes, the teachers, they're the ones doing the indoctrination, right? The teachers are the ones that are woke. Give them guns.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice Hard Seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MonacoBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice Hard Seltzer.
Right now, we all feel a little disconnected. For seniors living alone, the isolation can be overwhelming. Connect with an older loved one and have the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, hit us up right now at 844-967-2789. Crudy's off today. We're both off tomorrow. But our pal, Matt Rothschild, Batman, going to swoop in and fill in for us. He is the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, a super cool cat. So make sure you tune into him. Some breaking news following up on that armed suspect in the FBI shooting standoff. Apparently, according to the Chiron on MSNBC, that the armed suspect in that attack today, who was at the Capitol on January 6th, he was the one who died today.
Wow.
So the guy who attacked the FBI office in Cincinnati led the cops on a chase. He was apparently at the Capitol on January 6th. And color me not surprised. 844-967-2789. Let's get to him. Ron from Madison, welcome. What do you got, Ron?
Hey, Tom. You know, I come to the conclusion that Republicans like CJ will never believe that their people, that their guy can do any wrong. There's all kinds of evidence of things wrong. I mean, Gary Hart can testify that taking a ride on a boat called Monkey Shines for the porn star could torpedo your presidential ambitions.
I mean, those are the old days, though, man. Ron, but I would say this, you know, guys like CJ like to stir the pot, right? I mean, I've met CJ. I don't say I know him, but, you know, we had a pretty spirited conversation in the bar when I'm not FCC compliant and I can just, you know, we can get after it, right? So I'm not clear what he believes other than he likes to stir the pot. But I would say, and he's said it before, and I've heard other Republicans say it. Oh, you know, both sides do it. You know, that thing, right? So when there is some sort of, you know, obvious guilt or proven guilt of some wrongdoing, well, you know, all politicians are this or both sides do it. And of course, that's not the case, right? I mean, I've never seen a bunch of Democrats, you know, go down to the Capitol and fight the cops like what's happened on January 6th. So there is some, when they do accept it, they also then just say that both sides do it, Ron, I guess is my point.
Yeah. By the way, you know, should anybody bring it up to you, when Obama was asked for documents that he took, he handed them over immediately.
Yeah, and then they went through, apparently, according to the articles we saw today, went through the archives and, you know, they went through the proper vetting and function as should be done. And if Trump would have done the same thing, so what? Great, but he didn't. And you got to wonder why he didn't. We all know. I mean, Trump's in it for Trump. So he was looking to get some leverage over somebody or looking for a payday. I mean, it's not difficult. It's real simple. I mean, Trump he's a great con man, but he's also a simple man. You don't have to dig too deep for the motivations. Thanks for the call, Ron. Let's keep going. Chuck from Minneapolis. Welcome, Chuck. What do you got for us?
Hey, I'm to pile on CJ. I'm surprised he didn't bring up Obamagate.
I didn't give him time to go back far enough, Chuck.
Because we all know what that is.
What, what's Obamagate?
That's just it. Trump brought it up. If you watch any clips of Trump, he brings it up and then he just says, you know what it is. And then he just goes on talking about something totally different.
So there's no dialogue. I mean, there's words being said at each other, but there's no discussion. There's no dialogue, right? I mean, Chuck, if you ask me a very specific question, I will give you a very specific answer. I mean, that's what a conversation it should be about, right? But we can't even do that with some of these folks these days.
Yeah, I noticed that with CJ. He's just on a tangent about this, that, you know, talking about things that don't even pertain to what is going on right now. You know, bringing up Comey, that's 4 years ago. He has nothing to do with this. Yeah,
And he should have been happy about Comey because he torpedoed Hillary Clinton. You know what I'm saying? So what? You're not happy about him now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I know, Chuck. Do you have conversations like that? Do you know people like that, Chuck, in your personal orbit that are just really hard to have a conversation with?
No, not anymore. No, since I'm not working in a factory setting, I do not have that anymore.
Yeah.
And I do like not working in a factory anymore. That is nice.
You're here.
All right. Yeah. Talk to you later.
Oh, right on, Chuck. Appreciate you checking in, man. We always try to have the conversation. That's why I take the call. But, at some point, you got to cut a dude off. 844-967-2789. Frank from Wausau. Welcome. What do you got for us, Frank?
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I like to hear you guys. That's entertaining. Every week I drive back from Lake Geneva to Minocqua, but I'm not a truck driver. But I'm a CFO. Here's the thing: is everyone in Wisconsin have a low IQ? Because most of the radio hosts spew nonsense nonstop, and you probably already talked about it. But this Alex guy, I would bet, spend half his time lying about Trump, and the other time lying about Sandy Hook, and people here eat it up. So what's wrong with these people?
Frank, I wish I had the answer for you. I think people are easily led by hearing things that affirms their beliefs.
That confirmation bias. Oh, it's strong.
Yeah, right. It's great point. And the other thing, Frank, from guys like Alex, he's a multimillionaire. You know what I'm saying? So he's doing it to make money. And the folks are buying it. And I hope that, our station, shows like ours and some of the other fine hosts around here that, try to be real, try to have good conversations, try to have fun, but don't take any crap, that will also resonate. So I appreciate you listening, Frank. Minocqua, man, it's beautiful up there. Let's get one more in. It's our pal Hawk from Madison. Hey, Hawk, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dom. Hey, so a couple things. One, I totally admire the fact that you try to have a conversation with someone like CJ, okay? On one hand. On the other hand, I don't think it's fair. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Has CJ ever given you an indication that he's trying to at least maybe remotely learn something or accept a fact? I don't think he has, right? And so what I'm trying to get at is that he shouldn't be given airtime anymore. It's one thing to have a conversation with somebody hey, we disagree, but we agree on some facts here. He's not calling to have a conversation. He's just not. He's calling to get on the air and say these things. Hunter Biden and emails, Clinton emails. That's all he's doing. And I don't want to take this the wrong way. I think you guys should try to have a conversation with people who are Republicans, independents. But that's not CJ.
We're actually open to new ideas. No, and on Hawk, I get it. I totally get it. And you're not the first person to bring that up, and I can appreciate that. But I guess on the other side of that is sometimes I just want to bring him on the air, and show how a conversation could be done, and lead them down the path and let them be as boisterous and asinine as they want, and then put a cigarette out on their ass, because everyone knows how to deal with people like CJ. Because we all got a CJ in our lives, man. He just happens to be CJ. Hey, folks, thanks for listening to the Devil's Advocates. We are off tomorrow. Matt Rothschild, Batman is swooping in, filling in. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to the Dirty Heads. I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks, Evan.
It's all a big lie. It's a big con game.
Right to jail, right away.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years.